Let's go make a killing.
All right.
Welcome to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
10 to the 5 to the 4, play one, touchdown!
The sharpest football contest show in the land.
I'll take the action. My Birds, Benjamin Franklin's team, favored by 1.5 points. I'll give you 3 more.
You're now riding shotgun with 2 former contest winners in Brady Kannon and James Salinas. And getting a former player's perspective with 9-year NFL veteran Mike Pritchard. Let's go! As they guide you through strategy, process, and your contest picks each and every week of the season.
I do like the idea of a parlay.
Now here's your host, Brady Kannon.
Welcome in, everybody. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. It is week 12 in the NFL, episode 14 of season 2. My goodness, we're coming down the stretch here. The leaves have changed colors. The weather is colder. The holidays are right around the corner. Crunch time is upon us in NFL contest season for sure. Let's take a look at what happened in week 11. The consensus in both Circa Sports Million and the Westgate Las Vegas Super Contest went 2-3. Another below average week for the consensus plays. They're currently hitting at 40%, 44, 65 and 1 combined in the 2 contests. Knock on wood, for the second straight week in a row, we went 4-1. Good stuff in both contests for the Las Vegas Football Contest Show team. Survivor, not a whole lot of carnage. 8 remaining entries still alive in Super Survivor over at the Westgate. 6 remaining entries still alive in Circa Grandissimo. And only 61 entries took it on the chin in week 11 in Circa Survivor, the Atlanta Falcons. The guilty party there knocking out a few people with their outright loss to the Carolina Panthers. 939 entries remain in Circa Survivor. And we'll get into this later on, but some very interesting remaining entries as far as people having multiple entries left in Circa Survivor. We'll get to that when we get to the Survivor portion of the show. Gentlemen, let's start at the top of the board. James, I'll begin with you. And hey, it kind of feels like the Bears and the Packers. Oh, wait, it's Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Soldier Field. The Steelers visiting the Bears. The Bears, a 2.5-point favorite, James.
Bears leading the lead in takeaways and turnover differential. Who would have thought that? It's still not a good defense, and this is a team that continues to find ways to win late in games. And I think the one thing you look at last week, thought that game was lost late against Minnesota, and then a massive kick return, great special teams play that they set up to be able to get themselves down in a field goal range and win that game in Minnesota on the road. I think the one thing with that, Pritch, is that starts to build confidence for a young coach and a young team, finding ways to win, even though it's been kind of ugly at times. And you kind of look back and think, how the hell do they win these games? The turnover differential, for one, can they continue to sustain that, especially leading the league with 15 interceptions of those takeaways? And you know, right now we don't know the status of what it's going to look like for Aaron Rodgers. Yes, it's his left hand, but yes, he's also an older guy. So those things, he already didn't want to get hit in this league coming into it for the last few seasons, hasn't wanted to get hit. We've seen it with some of these older quarterbacks trying to just endure and sustain being out there on the field and knowing, hey, throw the ball away, live to play another down, live to play another series, but not knowing the status with Aaron Rodgers here and the way that the Bears now are playing with a lot of confidence, Pritch. I'm not feeling comfortable trying to pick a side right now as of this taping of where we're at right now on Friday morning. I don't know where to go with this. How do you feel?
Well, you know, James and Brady, the Bears are interesting. Like you said, I mean, people are trying to understand how they're winning. I think the best way to understand it is that the league is just about a handful of plays. You know, coaches preach to us as players, just keep the game close. Let's not do anything to get out of the game. And then in the fourth quarter, we can win it. Right. I mean, think about that game they played against Cincinnati, that they won 47-42. I mean, you would have never thought that the Bears would score that many points, especially with Caleb and what's going on. But it shows you what they're capable of as a young team if they're disciplined and they're sound fundamentally. Like I call them a critical situation team, and that's a well-coached team when you know you're second in the league on third down as a defense. Now they do have some injuries that we have to keep an eye on, like you mentioned, James, and I think if this team was full speed or fully strength team in terms of injuries, I would side with the Bears, to be honest with you. Aaron Rodgers, I get it. And we like to think of yesteryear with Aaron. And then at this point, when his career is ending sooner than certainly he's going to stay in the league, he's going to try to play. I mean, they're going to put a brace on it. I played in the Orange Bowl in the national championship game with a broken hand. Just put a brace on it and I'll be okay as long as I don't need surgery, right? Because you're not going to miss games like that. And games are running out for Aaron Rodgers. So I expect him to play, but how effective he's going to be against the Bears, and then with the Bears and their moxie, and certainly how disciplined they are. I mean, this is going to be a tough game, I think, for the Steelers. But the injury concern on the Bears defense is a little bit heightened for me, Brady. And so therefore, I can't recommend laying it at this point.
Yeah, I don't have a great feel for this game. I'm probably with you guys that I lean towards the Bears. They continue to just pull rabbits out of their hat and win football games. And hey, hats off. And you guys talk about it. Ben Johnson, obviously a candidate for Coach of the Year, doing a heck of a job there. And I'm happy to see the success for he and Caleb Williams. They're a fun team to watch these days and atop the division in the NFC North. How about the AFC North, where the Jets are undefeated? Yes, they beat the Cleveland Browns and they have beaten the Cincinnati Bengals. They will try and make it 3 in a row when they take on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Baltimore laying a big number here, James. And one thing that jumped out to me, and I know you're aware of this as well, the scheduling spot is tough for Baltimore here. They come off of a game last week where they beat the Cleveland Browns. Next week, they stay in division with the Cincinnati Bengals. And of course, it's a short week with Thanksgiving. And then after that, it's Pittsburgh and the Bengals again. So it's a massive division sandwich here with the lowly Jets sitting in between.
Not only coming off that really physical game against the Browns last week, but that was their third straight road game. So finally coming back home in that sense. But yeah, I mean, looking ahead and going to face Joe Burrow most likely on Thanksgiving. Might even see Joe Burrow coming this Sunday against the New England Patriots. More to go with that one later in the show. But I think here, 13.5, this is a hungry Jets team. The one thing, it's a bad football team. They traded away a lot of talent, got a lot of injuries, but they're going to move on from Fields. And now it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. And at least from the fact that Tyrod Taylor is going to see a lot of different fronts. We saw that last week against Shador being confused and really being unprepared from the coaching standpoint, getting him in there in that second half due to the injury and having to step in there. Well, I think with Tyrod, you're not going to be able to confuse him as much. This is a long-standing veteran. He's going to recognize what's up the line of scrimmage. And this is a hungry Jets team that I think is going to show up and going to compete. I don't know how much effort and energy and emotion we're going to see from the Ravens in this matchup versus what we saw last week in that physical contest against the Cleveland Browns. 13.5, Pritch, way too many. I like the Jets.
Yeah, there's a lot of points right there. And anything Tyrod would do is give the Jets a feeling that they can compete, right? Like, you don't have that feeling with Justin and his lack of confidence, Justin Fields and how he's playing. Tyrod, of course, everybody knows him. He's been in the league a long time, but he's disciplined and he'll go through reads and he'll make throws, key throws. And so, like you mentioned, from a hungry standpoint, this is a Jets team they're fighting for jobs. And I have to reiterate that there's only 32 teams and your jobs are limited out there. So if you feel like you want to coast through a game and then all of a sudden you're cut, good luck landing on another team. So yeah, I expect the Jets to fight Brady in this matchup.
All right, when we come back, we talk Detroit Lions, where Jackson Dart has been ruled out. It'll be the Jameis Winston show for the second week in a row. We'll be back with more in just a moment on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
When the football contest crew isn't busy dominating the field and making plays that leave opponents in the dust, they're doing something just as exciting. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable real-world rewards from amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score hotel stays, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady, James, and Mike, we know you're going to love it. That's a winning play you won't want to miss.
Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, and of course, sports betting, including the Stanford Wong Classic Sharp Sports Betting. Don't forget LVA's Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $700 in gambling-free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com.
It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by our friends at Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Brady Kannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you, diving through the Week 12 card. And we have gotten to the Detroit Lions, where they will be back home. We know off of a loss, a perfect 13-0 against the spread when they are in that situation. And this week's whipping boy, the New York Giants, Jackson Dart, still in concussion protocol. He will not get the start. It'll be Jameis Winston. It's a big number here, Mike. It's 10 in the contest, but yet in the live market, we have seen this move out to as high as 13. You have to believe the Lions are going to be a popular pick this week, Mike.
I would imagine so. I mean, you do have Thanksgiving coming up too. So, here you go with these tough schedule points for these teams. Now it is the Giants, and the Giants are reeling right now. No coach, no head coach, and they're trying to figure it out once again. But how competitive will this game be? It's interesting that nobody's really talking about Campbell taking over play calling. Remember, I thought everything was okay with Ben Johnson moving on to Chicago, and all of a sudden now Dan Campbell's calling plays. So that's different, right? There was a meeting at some point along the way where, okay, I'm going to take over play calling because I don't like what we're doing, or we're just not consistent, and they're not. When you look at games that they played trying to run the football, we know that the Lions want to run the football. 98 yards against the Chiefs, 164 against the Bucks, right? 65 against the Vikings, over 200 yards against Washington, and just 74 yards rushing last week against the Eagles. So, now I get it. The defenses that they're playing and facing, they're gearing up and they're good enough to kind of neutralize the running game. Are the Giants? No. So just by the math and just by looking at the schedule, the Lions are due for a big game rushing the football in this one, in my opinion. And I think they're going to get creative that way. And I think they're going to get really, really physical, even though they play another game coming up on Thanksgiving. So the Lions, it is a big number. They're going to be one of those games, one of those teams where they want to take it out on the Giants and maybe rev it up as they get ready for the Packers there on Thanksgiving as well. James, what do you think?
This is the contest strategy game. I mean, considering the fact that in both Circa and the Super Contest, the number is 10 in favor of the Lions. Now, like you just talked about, Brady, in the live market here on Friday is 13, with that news coming out that Jackson Dart is not going to play. When's the last time a rookie quarterback has moved the line 3 points? I mean, is that more an indication of Jameis Winston? We know how he's a gunslinger. We know he's going to take chances. He's got nothing to lose, and he's going to make some big plays over the top. And he's also going to give some points away and turn the ball over to Detroit. My concern with this one is not only from the contest strategy of we're trying to figure out where we're at in the quarterly, in particular for Circa, right? We're sitting here 8-2. We've got a number of folks ahead of us, but at least we're in the mix here. But what we don't want to do is just jump on the consensus and keep having the common plays of the consensus to not really find any way to move up within those standings in this quarterly. So to me, for this one, I think this is going to be a top consensus play with the Lions. And I don't think from that strategy, playing these contests in particular for the quarterly here, Brady, that we play this game. I think it's a stay away.
Yeah, it is definitely an interesting spot, and you are spot on about this being definitely a game theory contest strategy game here with the line movement. I like the Lions from the jump, and now laying 13, I'd probably still lay it, but we'll see if it makes our card. I'm talking personal plays versus your contest plays, and we know there's a difference there. You'll probably have a lot of contest theory with this next game as well, and that is the New England Patriots visiting the Cincinnati Bengals, where it's possible we will see Joe Burrow, the return of JB at QB for Cincinnati. Is it going to be Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco? We've seen the line movement come towards the Bengals here, despite Jamar Chase being suspended for this game, James. This is really interesting, and it does, in my heart of hearts, feel like a tough spot for New England.
It is a tough spot for New England, although they do have the extra rest, having played last Thursday against the Jets. So I think here, having that time to prepare and be ready to go, I don't think the Patriots in a position where they're playing above and beyond expectations coming into the season. And this is a team now that has kind of the path to be the 1 seed in the AFC for the playoffs. Who would have thought that preseason? I definitely didn't. They've not so much overachieved, but what a job by Vrabel to get this team galvanized and really rallying. And I think that's the one thing that we see each and every week. They come and bring it every week. There's not a lot of flat spots. Early in the season, they had to work through it, lost to the Raiders. I'm sure they look back at that game as like, how the hell did we lose to that team on opening day? But they've had to work themselves through, finding ways to find their identity. And they definitely found that here. So maybe this is a spot where they are motivated to see Burrow on the field. We'll see. Right now, Brady, just as we're sitting here right now this Friday morning, I'm seeing numbers tick back up in favor of New England. I see a couple of 7s and a lot of juice towards New England at 6.5. So maybe there's been some reports about Burrow maybe not participating in practice today. It's still early, not sure yet, but I think that's where for this contest play, I think it's we're talking contest strategy. If this is the closing line value, folks, and seeing what that number is, they're looking at taking the Bengals. If it does drop and it is confirmed that Burrow plays, then maybe that's the opposite play and lay it with New England in the contest, Bridge.
Yeah, even if he does play, you wonder how rusty he's going to be, right? This is a situation where Burrow sat out a long time. Now he's used to sitting out. He's been injured often in his career, but no Jamar Chase. I mean, that is a big, big miss when you can't run the ball and you don't really have a lot of threats offensively. The thing about Vrabel, which you can always appreciate, at least I do, and I saw this up close and personal about how blue collar he is, right? And how humble he will make that locker room. They are on a run, though. They have won so many games in a row. You wonder, are they going to stub their toe and have a bad game at some point? And this could be one of those situations. But the blue-collar approach and the fact that they can run the ball, control the line of scrimmage, make high-percentage throws for Drake May, that's making the game easy for the Patriots at this point. I was trying to find a way how the Bengals could make it more difficult. Maybe Burrow in the game gives them juice and that standpoint. But, I mean, the Patriots, they just have their head down going about their business. And, I just the rust factor is something that's giving me pause here with the Bengals as well from a contest standpoint.
Yep, I understand that wholeheartedly, Mike. And, you keep waiting for these Patriots to stub their toe. It has not happened. And who knows, maybe it won't. We'll be back with some more as we make our way through the Week 12 card right here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Las Vegas isn't just a place to play, it's a great place to live. Louis Payon with Magenta Real Estate is a trusted 5-star real estate professional who's called Vegas home for over 3 decades. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Louis will guide you every step of the way with proven strategies that deliver results. Call Louis today at 702-849-7160. That's 702-849-7160. Louis Payon is the official realtor of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circus Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. We have arrived in Nashville, where the Tennessee Titans, with just one win on the season, trying to see if they can slay the Seattle Seahawks, who are laying a huge number, a road favorite of 13 points, coming off of that loss, a tough loss to the division rival Los Angeles Rams. Mike, you were a Seahawk. Going on the road after a tough division loss, how do they perform here in Tennessee?
Well, that division's tough. One thing, I mean, and I think that's what Seattle probably realized as you come back and you make all kind of mistakes in the football game, and yet it came down to a missed field goal, and you could have won the thing. So you actually don't feel too bad about it. I think you probably feel like you're going to be more competitive next time around, and but you got to keep yourself in position. I mean, this is a division to where you probably feel like, okay, we got to win this division. From a wild card standpoint, the NFC, that's a difficult proposition right there too. So McDonald's done a great job with one. The defense is underrated. I don't know why people don't understand this. Maybe they do because that number, but that number is probably more indicative of the Titans and the situation that they're going through. No direction at all from the Titans standpoint. I can go through stats, but why? I mean, they're a bad football team. Now, can Seattle cover this number? Or is it one of their games where let's get the win and let's get back to work, right? So I can't lay it. It's too many points, obviously. But I like what Seattle's doing. Darnold gets a lot of criticism, and rightly so. I mean, the guy's got to grow up, in my estimation. And so they got some more speed with the trade of a wide receiver from the Saints. But Smith and Jigba too is incredible, and a sound running game. There's a lot to like about Seattle, except this big number, James. I just can't get there with it.
Yeah, it's a big number, and we talked about liking the Jets and that big number. This is a big number here with the Titans too, especially at home. But I don't like the Titans. The Titans are just, just been a struggle all season long offensively. So even if they get somewhere within, there's a potential backdoor cover. This is just not an offense that can make that happen. The only concern with me here with Seattle is kind of the scheduling spot. You look at the last 3 games. It's going to be the 3rd road game in 4 weeks. Second time they've had to go across country, and high leverage games. They played coming out of their bye a few weeks ago, that big Sunday night football game in Washington where they throttled the Commanders. Then they come back home and they play the Arizona Cardinals within division, and then a huge game and a really physical and emotional game last week, divisional loss against the Rams. And it is going to be an early start cross country again. I know it's contest play, so it's not going to make the contest card for me. Although if I'm betting this game, I kind of like Titans plus the 7.5 in the first half. Just saying, I guess kind of think it's going to be a slow starting game for Seattle, but eventually the second half, Tennessee will find ways to turn the ball over, shorten the field for Seattle, and they probably do cover, Brady, but probably not a play on my contest card.
Yep, I think that all makes a lot of sense. This next game, NFC North division game, and the Packers will have 2 division games in a row. They'll host the Minnesota Vikings, and then they will visit the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. The Packers laying 6.5 to Minnesota in both contests. And Mike, it feels to me like the Vikings are the right side here. I think the Packers have been disappointing as of late. But I tell you, the more I see him, I think the more I don't trust J.J. McCarthy at quarterback for Minnesota.
Yeah, but do you trust Jordan Love, though? I mean, this is a situation where I mean, McCarthy has a chance to get better. I'm afraid that Love might be it for him. He might be butting his head against the ceiling. And so if that's the case, where do the Packers go? I mean, Josh Jacobs, he's not a game breaker. He's steady between the tackles, the inside zone rushing guy, but he often gets banged up too, though, right? I think here is where the Packers, without Kraft, and they got some pups out there still at wide receiver, but the quarterback position, the guy throwing them the football is just highly inconsistent. Now McCarthy, he's young, and he's got O'Connell, who probably could settle him down if he could, but he's got a superstar in Justin Jefferson out there too. And Justin, I mean, quietly having a solid year, not a spectacular year, but a solid year. So it's a divisional game. And I'm not going to suggest that, hey, let's go ahead and ride it out with the Vikings. But I do like the situation that they're catching this many points here against the Packers. I don't think weather is going to be a concern. Familiarity is everything. Flores and what he can do defensively against that offense too. I'm attracted to that side of the ball as well for the Vikings.
When we come back, we will talk about a big game happening at Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs, reeling off of a loss to the Denver Broncos, will host the red-hot Indianapolis Colts. What do we do with that one? We'll talk some survivor strategy as well when we return on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Want to enter the biggest and best football contests in Las Vegas? Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed. Covering Circa Million, Circa Survivor, Grandissimo, and every super contest at the Westgate Superbook. Reserve the most trusted proxy service in the business now at footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have been leaders in the industry for 20 years. They submit your picks while you focus on picking winners. Experience matters. Go with the pros at footballcontest.com and start winning now.
We thank everybody out there for tuning in to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Check us out online. Everything you need to find, where you find us online, the podcast, the picks, everything is right there at footballcontestshow.com. Survivor Talk. And gentlemen, I have some very interesting numbers here for you as it pertains to Circa Survivor. There are 939 entries left. 118 people have 2 or more entries remaining. 29 people have 3 or more entries remaining. 12 people have 4 or more entries remaining. 1 person has half a dozen entries left, and one person has 10 entries remaining.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Mike, I know Survivor just baffles your head. What does that do for you? You're sitting there with 10 entries. You're counting your money at this point.
Well, I mean, you could be, or you're getting highly nervous. I mean, what am I going to do with all these picks, right? And I don't want to screw it up. I don't want to screw it up because we've seen this happen in Survivor. A couple of years ago, somebody had 6 entries and they went all in. I want to say, was it the Lions? And then the Lions ended up losing. And then you have 6 entries and all of a sudden now you're out the thing. If you have 10 entries, you have a lot of options. I mean, you can go oppo in some games and certainly guarantee yourself to get through. And so that's what you have to do. I mean, get through this weekend, and then next week with the Thanksgiving, Black Friday, certainly, and then the Sunday, you got to go oppo. You got to have at least 5 entries to get through the gauntlet. So you're in a good position from a strategy standpoint, as long as you've mapped it out and you can remain composed and not panicky like a Trevor Lawrence or something on the road. You got to stay composed and make sure that you're sound about your decisions. That's why I said this to Derek Stevens a long time ago. This Survivor thing is so much equal to the fact that it puts you on the field. And we armchair quarterback all the time, right? Well, here you go. And now you're the coach. Now you're the head coach. Now you got to make the play calls with these entries. So I guess difficult. And I think your head can play games with you as well. What I'm interested in, though, guys, is when you look at how many people have the Eagles and how many people still have the Ravens available. What are you going to do here? You got the Cowboys on the road if you're the Eagles, and then you look at the Ravens situations too. So for the most part, people with 1 entry or even if you have 2, it really is a difficult decision. But that's what the beauty is of this contest, James. And I'm more and more intrigued each and every year of it.
Well, you got to look at it. Talk about one with 10 entries. I'm assuming just pretty much probably almost every week just shoving all 10. All in, and good for them. You're a very advantageous position, especially coming up with the holidays where you get to potentially just play both sides of a game because you have those teams. Probably something you got to really look at come Christmas time. That's going to be the challenge with those three games with the Christmas day and looking at those matchups. Not easy matchups, right? If you're looking that far ahead, you're talking Kansas City hosting Denver. We saw how that game went down last week with that. This will be the second go around. You got Dallas on the road to Washington and then Detroit on the road, divisional game at Minnesota. Not easy games to pick there. So have to strategize that far ahead right now. Right now, to me, you look at Detroit here. Yes, you've got the favorable matchup against the Giants, and for the Lions, I don't know if this is the best spot you're going to get them, even though they are playing Thanksgiving and Christmas. They host Dallas afterwards, and they're on the road at the Rams. They host Pittsburgh at Minnesota on Christmas, and then finish up at Chicago. I mean, if this is it and you have the Lions, this is the best spot to take right now with Detroit, Brady.
I got to believe when we are this late in the season, it is so much about availability. Mike, a couple of other big favorites on this card are at the bottom of the board here. One on Monday night, one on Sunday night. Out of the NFC West, the Rams laying 6.5 or 7 to the Buccaneers. The 49ers laying 7 to the Carolina Panthers. Do those tickle your fancy as far as a survivor choice?
I mean, not a lot of things tickle my fancy there, Brady, but especially when it comes to football. But the 49ers are interesting because they got through the injury situation, but are they improving? I think offensively they are. Defensively, not so much. I think they've run out of players on that side of the ball. But offensively, I mean, they could be as good as anybody in the league, really, now to get the quarterback back and Kittle. With the Rams, they just had 2 humongous games inside their division. And here comes Tampa, a feisty Tampa. I think Tampa is kind of reeling a little bit, and they're running out of players. Their roster is not as deep as the Rams, but I wonder, could there be a letdown, right? And after those 2 humongous games that they just had within the division, but it's the NFC. And you have to hold serve. If you want home field advantage, if you want that easier path to the playoffs, you certainly have to improve your overall record. So, the Rams could be one of those teams, if you have that availability there. But that one is you're going to sweat. Make sure you have some friends next to you. Make sure you have some beverages to help you out if you need it. But that's one of those games to me that could be a high degree of sweat in that matchup against Tampa.
James, I wonder. Go ahead.
No, I've been thinking about the Tampa game, that, and we'll get to that from an ATS perspective, I think, here soon enough. But the scheduling spot, I think, is really difficult for the Rams, just from an emotional standpoint of what they went through the last couple of weeks, to your point, Pritch, of divisional games. And San Francisco, yes, weathering the storm with all those injuries. Defense, those guys aren't coming back. Big losses defensively with Bosa and Warner. We know, and it's going to be a lot of shootouts. But now this offense is fully healthy, Purdy back in the midst. Hugh and Mac Jones was very serviceable to get them through that stretch with those injuries. But I wouldn't want to play San Francisco. I'd want to keep them for Survivor in pocket. They have a bye in 2 weeks, and then they come out of the bye against the Titans. So kind of a double bye that way, and an ability to be able to move forward in the NFC. That would not be the spot I'd want to play San Francisco, Brady, this week on Monday night.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, who do you go with? Okay, and let's throw availability out the window. We don't know what every team has left. Who would you play given the holidays coming up? The Lions, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, all of these teams are involved not only in Thanksgiving, but Christmas as well. Does that put you on the Seahawks, James, if you're in Survivor this week?
Potentially. I think you've still got another spot where with Survivor, they're going to be playing Seattle's road games again, playing at Atlanta and at Carolina. Now, Carolina, week 17, is going to be fighting for the playoffs still. They're right there in the mix. Atlanta, I think we saw that team's finished. We'll get to them when it comes to the same. Maybe it's the Saints, because I think Atlanta loses this week. That team is completely fractured. But yeah, if you're playing the Seahawks, this is probably your best spot. Tennessee just cannot score the football. So that would be the spot, depending on if you have them in pocket. A couple other spots, like I said, with Seattle, but I just don't like these long trips back, almost 3 out of 4 weeks again on the road for Seattle. Just win the game in Survivor, probably, Pritch. That's your old team with the Seahawks. So that's where we go. To me, it's still the Lions. It's the best spot to take the Lions this week, especially with the gauntlet that they have coming up. I like Detroit.
Yeah, I was going to agree with that. I want to avoid the Lions on Thanksgiving. I would do it now. And then certainly have other options for Thanksgiving and even Christmas for that and for that regard. So this one at home against the Giants seems doable to me from a Survivor standpoint.
I think a very interesting week in Survivor. Maybe not a lot of carnage, but who's going to be the most popular play? I don't know who has what available. Very interesting week 12 from a Survivor standpoint. We get back to the Against the Spread talk on the other side of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Looking for your next ultimate golf experience? Discover Valley High Golf Club, a tropical paradise on the Las Vegas Strip, featuring lush greenery, water features, Balinese tropical plants, white sand, and black volcanic rock, creating an enchanting atmosphere. Valley High creates a memorable golf experience for a typical foursome, a group celebrating a bachelor or bachelorette party, or your next corporate outing. It's award-winning golf on the Strip, Vegas style. Book your ultimate golf experience now at valleyhighgolfclub.com.
Steiner's, a Nevada-style pub, invites you to play the best keno and video poker in Las Vegas. Promos are how we roll, so make the most of your gaming dollars with ongoing promotions, daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win Knights, Raiders, Aviators tickets, and big money with all those jackpots. It's not only great gaming at Steiner's, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers and the best appetizers to match. Steiner's, the Nevada-style pub, with 3 locations across the Vegas Valley. Steiner's, I love this place.
I have to believe it is considered the game of the week. Arrowhead Stadium, the Kansas City Chiefs, off of a loss. They will host the Indianapolis Colts, and many people are surprised that they are favored. They're a 3-point favorite in the Super Contest. They are a 3.5-point favorite in the Circus Sports Million. And in the live market, it's basically 3. There really aren't any 3.5s left, and it's a 3 that is very well juiced on its way to 3.5. But again, I believe, James, that the Colts could be a popular play in Circa Sports Million with that hook attached there. This ought to be a dandy. And I tell you what, it's kind of life or death for the Chiefs in this game. If they lose, they could be out of the playoffs in 2025.
Hey, everybody has their time, right? And I think we've seen the Chiefs since Mahomes come into the league as a starter for the last 8-9 years, dominate the AFC West, and to a sense, really kind of dominate, or at least be at the top of the leaderboard every year, would go into the Super Bowl to represent the AFC. But everything has its time, and we see where the Chiefs are. No one's played more high-level games and more games to begin with, let alone high-level games, than the Chiefs over that stretch. And, this looks like not only from a physical standpoint fatigue, but also an emotional standpoint for fatigue. It's just so hard, not only week in and week out, but season in and season out, year in and year out, to just play and sustain at the highest level, because every team that the Chiefs play, they are getting their best shot. And I think that's what the Chiefs are going to get this weekend too. They're going to get the best shot from the Colts here in this matchup. Colts coming off their bye. This is a team that is not just a one-dimensional football team having to run the football. They've been able to find ways to get Jones out of the pocket and make simple throws, getting ahead of the chains, getting ahead of the sticks, making it third and manageable to make easy throws as opposed to having to throw the ball down the field. That's, to me, where this game goes. I think this is going to be a game where the Colts have to rely on that running game. And then on the other side, with the defense for the Colts and Arumo being there, Pritch, we talked about this before with the game plan when he was with Cincinnati, vaulting Cincinnati to that Super Bowl a few years back. How do you feel about this defensive matchup for the Colts going into Arrowhead?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, how about the state of Indiana being a mecca of football? When you think about the college Indiana and how good they're playing, and now you got the Colts doing what they're doing. So who had that on their bingo card? But I think you make a move for Sauce Gardner and you kind of change your ways a little bit from an ownership standpoint, even a GM standpoint, when you make a trade like that for this game, knowing that you do have Anarumo as your defensive coordinator, because this game is pivotal for the Colts. Here's the path for victory for the Colts. You look at the stats, and the Chiefs, teams don't run against them because they're scared that if they run the ball against them, if they stuff you, all of a sudden Patrick's going to light you up on the other side. But if you can run the football, like for instance, the Chiefs and rushing attempts are 5th as a defense. Nobody rushes against them. Whereas you have the number 1 rushing team in the National Football League and an offensive line that is highly touted. That's the path for victory, is to contain or control the game with the running game, have your MVP type candidate, JT, run well, and keep Patrick in that offense kind of, guessing a little bit, and certainly trying to up the ante and certainly feel like they have to light up the scoreboard. So that is unsettling, I think, for a team that hasn't found their way. And Andy Reid, after a bye, what did that do? Nothing. So I think this is a different Chiefs game or team, even though they're at home. And I love that fact at home. You're getting 3.5 here for the Colts. And, that seems attractive. Daniel Jones doesn't have to do a lot. And if people are worried about that, I wouldn't worry about that unless the Chiefs find a way to just stop the run, which Brady, I don't think that's likely in this matchup.
It's really been the formula to beat the Chiefs in the Patrick Mahomes era. Run the football. And you're exactly right, Mike. Teams are scared to do it because they worry about getting in a shootout. And we've seen how that goes for many teams. But if you run the ball, we've seen that has been the Achilles heel for the Kansas City Chiefs for a number of years. There is no loyalty in the NFL. Last week, we loved the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do we love them this week, James, on the road? Trevor Lawrence, you said he is not trustworthy on the road, Mike. James, what about Jacksonville laying 2.5 on the road in the Super Contest and the full 3 in Circa?
This is interesting. Another game where we're talking about, especially quarterly, where we're standing now at 8-2, thinking which games do we don't want to be on the side of the consensus? Are the Jaguars going to be a consensus play laying that 3? I don't know. I'm not really great at gauging where the consensus is going to go, but I know the consensus is not going to be on the Cardinals here. Cardinals really decimated by injuries, putting up some fight, but they're just, they're stringing it together both on both sides of the football. But here, this is kind of where I don't trust the Jaguars now going as the favorite. It's one thing to be those dogs, and they took full advantage of a Chargers offensive line that was completely decimated going into that game in Jacksonville. But now going on the road, across country, non-conference game as a favorite into Arizona. I know there's a banged up team, Mike, but this smells like one of those spots where Arizona comes and still competes and finds a way, not so much to win, but the Jaguars find a way to lose it, because we've seen that plenty from this team on the road this season.
Yeah. Then that's it right there for me. How does Jacksonville find a way to lose it? And they should win this game. I think the Arizona Cardinals are one-dimensional. Brissett setting records, but they're one-dimensional. They can only throw the football. They're not that physical. I think Gannon, too, is kind of fighting for his job, because think about what's ahead for the Cardinals. No more Kyler Murray. They're going to go in a different direction. You wonder with that direction, when you don't have a quarterback, where are you going to go? And do you have the head coach in mind already, right? So that writing's on the wall, I think, for a lot of people in that locker room, including coaches. I wonder how they're going to respond to that. But Jacksonville, they just have a propensity to mess it up, especially on the road. And therefore, I mean, that's one of those situations that I would want to avoid there, Brady.
James, real quick here. This is one of the screwiest lines I think I've ever seen in my history of betting. The Raiders as a 4-point favorite. I don't know. What do you do with this one, my friend? The Raiders here in Las Vegas laying 4 to Cleveland.
The best unit on the field is the Browns defense, and in particular that defensive front. It's a mess of an offensive line for the Raiders. The Raiders laying 4 in a game where points are at a premium. That almost feels like the Raiders are laying 8. Give me the Browns. I know it's Shador. I think the defense for the Browns creates offense, and there's a sense of excitement now with behind this Browns team with Shador getting his first start. Give me the 4 against the Raiders on the road.
All right, we'll be back with the Saints and the Falcons, the NFC South, next up here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
San Diego is home to Wolfpack Hospitality Restaurants, located in beautiful La Jolla. Stop by Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria on your next trip. Visit Cove House, a top 100 brunch in California, or Shore Rider, serving up margaritas, fish tacos, and a vibe that will make you feel like a regular in no time. For a slice of New York-style pizza with a California twist, it's Dough Mama Pizzeria, where the wings and pizza draw compliments from around the world. Go to wolfpackhospitality.com, and we will look forward to seeing you at Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria.
Time to release our picks right here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, presented by Circus Sports and the Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Brady Kannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you in the Super Contest. We are going with the Jets catching 13.5. The Minnesota Vikings getting 6.5. The Arizona Cardinals in the Super Contest getting 2.5. The Saints laying 1.5 to those Falcons, and the Cowboys catching 3.5 at home, hosting Philadelphia. We're going to go with the same 5 selections in the Circus Sports Million. The Cardinals getting the full 3 points, hosting the Jaguars. The Saints laying 2.5, still under a field goal at home, favored over Atlanta, and the same number for the Cowboys, the Jets, and the Vikings at 13.5, 6.5, and 3.5 for Dallas. Mike, there's a couple of games on our card that we didn't analyze yet. And you've been there before for the Saints and the Falcons. Talk about this one, my friend.
Yeah, this is a rivalry. I mean, it's city versus city, as well as team versus team. I mean, there's a reason why when the league kind of reformed their divisions, they kept certain teams within the same division. I mean, Atlanta and the Saints have been in that NFC division and that South division. But I remember back when I played, we were in the NFC West. But yet the Saints and the Falcons were still in that thing. This is a rivalry game, and this is a game that's important for the ownership there in New Orleans. So this is one of those focused situations, whereas Atlanta is not focused. I mean, there's questions about Raheem Morris now, and certainly Arthur Blank would want this game too, but this one's in the backyard for the Saints, and I just think the emotion will add that extra energy to propel this young football team, and then defensively as well, because I think the Falcons have lost their way. They are an 11 personnel team, but yet they don't have an 11 personnel quarterback. And certainly, the consistency of that. So can they just rely on a dominant running game and play action? It's not within their makeup to do that. And so therefore, I think you can see some mistakes out there, and the Saints able to capitalize on that. This game has just means so much that I do believe that the Saints are going to be up for it, and we'll see what the Falcons can do to respond. So, James, I like that situation. I hate being on the other side of my team in this game, but we're talking about a contest here, so I don't mind siding with the Saints in this matchup.
Pritch, we bet with our heads, not with our hearts. That's when it comes to just separating that and being objective. Absolutely. I love the Saints in this matchup. Atlanta's just a complete mess and a lot of overhaul coming for that team in the offseason. Talked about rivalries. Here's another big rivalry. It's going to be a fun game, too. It is going to be Philadelphia on the road down in Dallas. And this is a different Dallas team. We know what they're going to do offensively. Even if they're in Vegas and hungover, those receivers can light up any scoreboard. Now you're going to play a Philadelphia team. There is an issue on that defensive side. The pass rush is tremendous. They're great against the run, but the issue is going to be on those corners. So it's going to be a tough matchup here for the Philadelphia Eagles defense on the outside. And on the other side, we know that Dallas defensively has been terrible for so long. This is as healthy as they've been all season long. They got both starting safeties back in the mix. You got Overshawn coming back from his injury. Now he's out there as a pass rusher. And the trades that they made a couple weeks back for Logan Wilson in the middle, trip fire tackler there for the Dallas Cowboys. And now you have Quentin Williams in the box inside to help stuff that running game as well. And a lot of issues flowing around always week in and week out with this Philadelphia Eagles team. They continue to find ways to win, but it's on the defensive side, Brady, not the offensive side. We're getting 3.5 here. I love the hook here with Dallas. We know that they have the best kicker from long range in the league there in Dallas. As soon as they cross midfield, they've got an automatic 3 points if they want to take it. I like here with the Dallas Cowboys taking that 3.5. I love the hook on our side.
Yeah, same season revenge. I think Dallas, certainly wants to avenge that loss the first game of the season. They only lost by 4 points to Philadelphia. I thought they were very impressive in that loss, and it looks like they're maybe catching their stride here. And I got to give credit to Brian Schottenheimer. I think he's done a really good job. And like you allude to, James, I think that defense is getting a little bit better every week. Real quick, we just touched briefly on the Sunday night and the Monday night games. I don't like the Bucs. I'm not sure if they're the same Bucs that we saw to the start of the year. Tough situation for the Rams with a couple division games in a row. And then Monday night, James, this Niners game looks like it could be headed to 7.5. And the Panthers, they're a team that's vying for a division title here. Your thoughts on the Monday nighter real quick?
I like San Francisco. This offense has gotten healthy. I know the defensive injuries there, but I don't think this is a game where the Panthers can match up scoring. They'll be hanging around for a while, but I think that's where all of a sudden you're going to see in that second half, oh, there's a blitz, there's a hit, there goes the turnover from Bryce Young we're expecting, and it kind of rolls away from the Carolina Panthers. I like the Niners on Monday night.
That is going to do it for the Las Vegas Football Contest show in Week 12. We'll see you back here next time for Thanksgiving week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Don't you just love football? God, what a fun sport.
Subscribe today on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to receive weekly alerts as soon as the show's available. Good luck with your contest selections.
Pay that man his money.
And we'll talk to you next week.